Michael Jordan, the NBA's most hallowed and iconic figure who's been praised for decades on end as the greatest scorer in NBA history and the greatest offensive player of all time, has 10 scoring titles and averaged more than 30 points per game in a season 8 times. And that includes an incredible 7-year stretch from 1987 to 1993 in which MJ scored at least 2,400 points in a season. And if MJ didn't miss nearly all of the 1994 season, that streak would have stayed alive, and in the end, likely would have extended to 11 years in a row. 11 years of offensive mastery and scoring dominance unlike the game has ever seen. Who in the world could possibly come close to challenging his throne? Wait.
Listen, so we've seen what LeBron James can do against high school kids. I've heard some people say he's ready for the NBA now. Is he?
Well, I don't know if he's ready for the NBA now. I think he can compete in the NBA and compete favorably if he were to go right now. He's certainly as good as some of the underclassmen that left college early and are in the NBA as we speak. But is his game ready to be ultra competitive on the league as he will be in the future? The answer is probably no. He's only 17, 18 years old. But LeBron James has got the full package. I saw him this summer. There's nothing he can't do on a basketball court. He's got a unique understanding of the game. He's very athletic. He can shoot it. He can handle it as well. There's no question he's going to be a great player, and he's really the best high school.
By just doing what I know how to do. There's no pressure. There's no pressure at all. I've been getting pressure since I was 10 years old.
I think there was someone who dared challenging MJ's throne, and here's when it all started. A few things in life are certain: death, taxes, and the NBA GOAT debate. We knew this was coming.
As many think that he might be able to take the throne, not just yet, but we'll find out.
Back in 2003, there was a worldwide consensus on who the best high school basketball player in the world was, and which player would go on to make it into the NBA and actually become a star. Sure, 9 out of 10 people in the world thought LeBron would make a great player, but this great for this long? Throughout 3 different decades of basketball? Nah, no one on planet Earth would have predicted such a storybook career. And speaking of storybook, little do people remember or even know that LeBron James was once met with the unique opportunity to showcase himself in front of the greatest basketball player to ever play. When Michael Jordan and the Chicago Bulls pulled off their first three-peat in 1993, LeBron was 8 years old. And when MJ and the Bulls clinched that same feat again in 1998, LeBron was 13 years old. And he knew full who and what MJ was as LeBron prepared to reach the global spotlight at least similar to MJ's. That's the same man LeBron grew up wanting to be like. And once upon a time, he said MJ was the GOAT. Until years and years later, LeBron said he was worthy of that title now.
That one right there made me the greatest player of all time.
That's what I felt.
Reasons. I was super ecstatic to win one for Cleveland because of the 52-year drought. Like, I was ecstatic. Like, obviously, I showed that the first wave of emotion was when everyone saw me crying. Like, that was all for 52 years of everything in sports going on in Cleveland. And then after I stopped, I was like, that one right there made you the greatest player of all time.
But see, beside the game LeBron played for MJ's summer event back in 2003, he and MJ haven't ever even been in the same building, making this moment between LeBron and MJ at the NBA's 75th anniversary team intros during halftime of the 2022 NBA All-Star Game at least a little awkward. Even though it seemed cordial, wholesome, and good-spirited between two guys, LeBron admitted that they never really exchanged conversations or met with each other.
Did not want to lose the opportunity to shake the man's hand that inspired me throughout my childhood. Haven't had much dialogue with him in my 20 years or 19 years in this business, but part of me wouldn't be here without MJ's inspiration. I always wanted to be like him.
But speaking of being in the same building, LeBron was in the same building as MJ way back in 2003. And it was the very first time MJ actually got a taste of who this kid LeBron really was out on the basketball court and what he was all about, up close and personal. 2003, the year LeBron entered the NBA, and incredibly, the same year Michael Jordan decided to finally retire once and for all. Let me just say quickly how amazing it would have been if MJ stuck for just one more season, so we could see him and LeBron play in an actual NBA game. Man, a 17-year-old LeBron finishing up his senior high school, and a 40-year-old Michael Jordan who just finished up his last game in the NBA. Crazy how everything played out, right? It was that Jordan Capital Classic that featured the best of the best high school players in the country squaring off for bragging rights and, well, in this case, an opportunity to show up and show out in front of his airiness himself. This game took place in the nation's capital with an unprecedented 18,000 in attendance. And sure, there was Chris Paul and even Shannon Brown, who was another elite talent at that time that was expected to reach stardom in the NBA. But let's be all the way honest here. They came to see one guy, LeBron. And among 18,000 ready to see the future face of the NBA showcase his incredible talent, there was one audience member in particular that, like LeBron, was still sought after and still was the most recognizable name in the world. His name was Michael Jordan. And though the world was convinced that LeBron would inevitably take the throne from MJ and would become the game's next great player, Michael Jordan wasn't all that convinced. Yet. This is what MJ had to say about a teenage LeBron. Once he gets to this level, I don't think he's in the upper echelon of two guards or small forwards. I think he's towards the bottom, respectively, because there's so much about his game that he's going to have to adapt to. He has unbelievable potential. I think that's what everybody's looking at, everybody's raving about. But he hasn't played against competition consistently, college or pros. He's played against high school kids. You have to give that some credence. While any teenager has work to do before he can flourish in the NBA, LeBron's body wasn't built like the standard teen body. Before even the age of 18, LeBron was around 6 foot 8 inches tall and at least 240 pounds. 240, which is absurd to think about. As a shooting guard small forward hybrid, LeBron clearly looked bigger than every other high schooler that was on the court that day, even guys who were listed as power forwards and centers. And from an athletic standpoint, come on, no one at the high school or even college tier was on the dynamic and explosive athletic level like LeBron was. He was literally a man among boys. But hey, this would be MJ's chance to watch a 17-year-old LeBron in person and see if maybe his take on LeBron changed at all. Now, to be fair, MJ had to have thought to himself deep down inside that this kid, LeBron, he's legit and is more than capable of becoming one of the handful of best players in the NBA from the get-go. But the loyal MJ fans will likely understand this big thing about him. MJ was so competitive and had the ultra ego that made it impossible for him to ever say anything along the lines of sympathy and support about not just LeBron, about everyone. Seriously, he's never had a nice thing to say about anyone, ever. But whether he was speaking from his heart or not when asked about LeBron, there was no way MJ wasn't at least a little impressed with what he saw from the kid wearing number 23 out on the floor. LeBron, like many envisioned, stole the show with his 34 points that led all scorers. And of his 30 shots he attempted, LeBron made sure to pull out nearly every trick in the bag.
Has 12 points, including the last 9 for this team. James
To show that there weren't any doubts about his game. After opening up the high-flying scoring with a couple of slams in the fast break, LeBron, even way back then, had limitless range on his three-pointers and showed that he could elevate over the heavy contest. Even in an era with no social media and no 24-hour news cycles, this kid was privy to whatever critics were saying about his game, particularly his jumper being the only sore spot in his game. So LeBron, fittingly, hit 3 three-pointers in a row.
Turned his ankle 2 days ago in practice.
Oh, what a shot. James for 3. Over leads by 2. James from long range. That is unbelievable. That's an NBA three-pointer.
LeBron James, a tremendous point guard. Skip Crosser is going to really be happy once he lands his feet down at Wake Forest.
And then the shimmy shake, turnaround, fall away shot LeBron hit. I know that one caught MJ's eye. That wasn't an ordinary high schooler. That wasn't just some dude trying to be MJ. He was and still is, the chosen one. And I have to say, if that kid keeps up that level of play, I think he'll creep up on the NBA GOAT debate someday. It's every kid's dream to play their best basketball in front of their favorite superstar athlete, let alone to score 34 points and pull off a few groundbreaking moves that even MJ can approve of. And what strikes me as the craziest fact of them all is that Michael Jordan, who played his last ever NBA game the day before, saw arguably the next greatest player in the sports play on the very next day. While MJ couldn't imagine that he'd be watching the kid who'd entered a GOAT debate down the line, the mantle was passed down to that 17-year-old that day in 2003. And let's just say that he's done a worthy job of holding that crown for the past nearly 2 decades.
Put it all in perspective, LeBron, and not let the head get too big. You know, just trying to keep working hard, because I know that at the next level, my stock is going to go down, and I have to raise it back up to where it is now. So I just have to keep getting better every day, and you know, listen to a lot of the advice that you get. You have to take everything in, but don't use everything, because everything is not good. But I'm just trying to get better every day. Last 2 questions. Everybody's tried it every different way of asking. Your 3rd high school all-star game. Clearly the road is set for this level and the NBA next. What will the summer bring for LeBron James? You know, right now, you know, I'm undecided. You know, I'm just going to sit down with my family and do what's best for my family. And last but not least, to all your fans, your parting words will be? Everybody have a nice time, and I was very glad to come here and play in Michael Jordan's event. You're a very impressive young man. Congratulations.